It would appear that more and more famous people are speaking out against Hollywood and its lack of creativity, all the while Disney, the House of the Mouse, haha, is losing a lot of money, is firing people. Same thing is happening with Netflix and other companies that produce films. And all the while, I hear from behind the scenes that the writers are being upset as well, and they're talking about starting to make movies for entertainment again rather than politics, which would be a good wind of change if it were to happen. However, I do find it a little bit unlikely. And this is due to the fact that these companies try to avoid taking risk. They view that if they make an original movie to be a risky endeavor. And they make sequels, prequels, reimaginings, and then they play into the identity politics culture and they will race swap or gender swap a couple of established characters, and they will call everyone that complains a racist, and then they will make a call to action to the few fans that are remaining, and they will say, you must go and pay for this movie to stick it to the racists. But unfortunately, this does not create good movies, and worse of all, it is also something that doesn't create wealth, because most people have figured out this marketing strategy, which is what companies use in order to not have to hire good writers, and thus can skim a little bit on the money. And this is what Quentin Tarantino is talking about, although I kind of disagree with him. He says that the era is just as bad as the 80s and the 50s cinema. Now, I don't know much about the 50s cinema, I gotta say, but at least the 80s cinema had famous movies that people remember. I don't think that when I will have a son 20 years from now, I'll sit with him on a couch and be like, hey, let's watch some movies from the 2020s. I literally can't think of anything which came out in the last 5 years that is worth watching. I mean, feel free to give me examples. I'm sure there might be one or two movies. Just to point out how bad it is, if you go on the Wikipedia page and you look at the Oscars, you're going to see the Best Picture awards. And if you look at those, you're going to see that in the past, almost all of the Best Pictures awards are movies that you remember. And you would watch today, like if you had to choose a family movie to watch with your folks, you would watch it today and it would be enjoyable. I mean, you can literally watch Lord of the Rings today and it has aged very well. But when you look at the Best Pictures that came out this year or last year or the year before, you won't even remember what those movies were. It's like something that you probably haven't seen, and I'm very sure that if you were to see them, they wouldn't be memorable. And that is the main problem. Like, there's absolutely nothing interesting. And, I do agree that it's also due to the fact that computers are a thing now, and most people do not watch movies as they used to. There is not such a strong culture around movies as it used to. But I still think that if a good movie was made, people would still go out and watch it. Unfortunately, it's so bad that if you were to ask me now, like what movies I'm excited to see in the future, I don't have a single title. And that didn't used to be the case. It used to be the case in 2016. If you asked me, like, what movies are you excited of seeing, I would have named you like 3, 4, maybe 5 titles that would come out, if not that current year, the next year. Now there is no hype for me. There is absolutely nothing that I'm interested in seeing. Which is what Quentin Tarantino is talking about. And he says that the movies that stand out are the ones that don't conform. And that's like another problem, is the censorship of art, which is coming from the corporate sector and from activists, is absolutely insane. I mean, if you want me to prove just how bad it is, Gone with the Wind, which is considered to be a classic, which is something that is known around the world, which is something that managed to pierce the veil of the Iron Curtain. Like, here under communism, art coming from the West was incredibly regulated, but Gone with the Wind was one of those movies that was allowed here. Now, with that out of the way, it got censored. Right? Like, the HBO producers were like, nope, this is racist. So, let that sink in. The whole issue is that even if you were to have a masterpiece in your mind now, even if you had like the movie, which could go around the world and create a new blockbuster and create a new phenomenon, you wouldn't be allowed to make it because the activists, the producers, the people at the corporations, they would tell you no. they would say, no, that's racist. You can't make that. So I don't even need to make the argument anymore, because like movies that are already made and they are famous are problematic. Now think about this. Gone with the Wind isn't the only one, right? Like there's many other movies that are very well known, established, commercial success, and you have the activists going like, no, we need to change it. We need to mix it around. Like whenever they make a sequel or a reboot, it's like, no, we need the modern audience. We need a, and that's why another reason why you're not going to have good movies, because like if you're going to censor art and you're going to streamline and sanitize art, you're not going to be able to create anything worth of value, because that's not how art is made. Art doesn't come from the factory, from the industry. Art comes from the soul, unfortunately, for these people. Right? And when you only have like a little path that you're allowed to make movies on, like you can't deviate from that path, you know, that's the only formula that's acceptable, well, the movies become very predictable and plain. And Quentin Tarantino also talks about the fact that he doesn't want to make any more superhero films, which is something that I agree. You know, like, you always had a trope in Hollywood. Like, for example, you had a period where slasher films were all the rave. And then you had a period where sci-fi movies were all the rave. And then you had the zombies. But, like, the superheroes just don't fucking go away. You know, they overstayed their welcome. Like, I get it. It was nice and great, but like, can we not go back into space? Can we not do some sci-fi again? Like, can we not do anything else? And the thing with the superhero movies that really bothers me is not just the fact that, oh, well, it's a super... They take the Marvel humor where everyone is quirky and they have like these one-liners that they will cast off a joke, even if the joke has a place or not in the movie. Like, for example, just so you can understand the brain rot that the Marvelitis does, it happened in The Witcher, and they were so lucky that they had Henry Cavill over there, which read the books and understood the lore, because what they did is that they killed Roach. They killed the horse of The Witcher, which obviously was supposed to be a very emotional and impactful moment. But because the producers only know how to copy, they can't create, they only know how to emulate, they tried to do that one-liner, you know, like the Marvel joke type of thing where the character says something quirky and everyone goes, ha ha ha. And Henry Cavill stepped in and he said, look, that's not how you should do it. And he actually wrote something which was very emotional, and it was considered to be an actual success. But this is the problem. You have people who just make sequels and reboots and reimaginings without understanding even the fucking source material. They just emulate what is successful. They look at Marvel, they say, okay, so Marvel sold, let's emulate that. And it reminds me, indeed, not of the 80s, but I think it was the early 2000s, when Matrix came out, and everyone was trying to emulate bullet time because it was fun in the Matrix. Like, you can't do that. Just because, like, a joke lands once or something is cool in one movie, it's not going to be cool in another movie, in a different setting. And this is what these people do not understand, because they're not concerned with making entertainment. So I hope more people like Quentin Tarantino is going to come out and call them out. And something, hopefully, at one point, you're going to have a company or a director that's going to approve something which is original and is risk-taking, and it's going to actually become a commercial success so that it opens the door for more creative art. Let me know what you guys think, though. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.